Hi y'all, it's me, Pineapple Honeydew. I am in a new place in my house, but unfortunately, I'm the same bitch. I'm so excited to be here for episode 2 of Sweet Talk. I think the longest Sweet Talk has ever existed has been 2 episodes, so the moment we post episode 3, that will be the longest that any iteration of Sweet Talk will have existed, which I'm very excited about. If you watched the first episode or if you listened to the first episode, thank you so much. I got a lot of good, sorry, I just cleared my throat. You know what that sound was. I got a lot of good feedback on the podcast, which is very exciting for me because, like I said, it's just something I've wanted to do for literally 7 years, and I'm just now kind of like actually committing to doing it. So I'm very excited. Thank you so much if you watched or listened to the first episode. If you didn't, that is available. You're either watching or listening to this on Spotify or on YouTube. So scroll a little bit back. It was a little bit of like an intro, but to be honest, I hate when people like feel like their first video or first podcast or something has to be like, get to know me, here's an intro. So it wasn't really that. It was actually just kind of talking about, we talked about the Super Bowl, we talked about my political views, which I'm sure you all know, but if you don't know, go back. We talked a lot about some cool things, some like current events, I guess you would say. I'm really excited for this episode though. I feel like I had other things to say, but I don't really remember what they were. I'm just very, very excited to get into this. So if this is your thing, if you're listening and you like the paranormal or you like the supernatural or you like ghosts and stuff like that, please stick around. If you're kind of on the fence, stick around. If this isn't your thing, I totally understand. The next week's episode will most likely not be continuing this theme. But this is something that I love and I love to talk about and I love to experience. So I would say, I don't know how often we're going to talk ghosts, but I would like to make it kind of a recurring series. If you guys are down, if you like this video, if this goes well, I will say I've posted multiple times being like, send me Q&A questions, send me questions about this, whatever. And I normally get a good amount of responses. And I don't have the numbers to back this up, but I don't feel like I've ever gotten the amount of responses to an Instagram story that I've gotten for this. Like, normally when I do like Q&As and stuff like that, I'll post my Instagram story at pineapple.honeydew, if you don't know. I'll post in like my Instagram, I think it's called a broadcast channel. It's called the Honeydew Lounge. You can join that if you want like more direct posts and updates. I normally post on my Twitter, which I have recently taken a break from Twitter. If you're wondering where I've been, I've been taking a little break. Twitter was just kind of getting a little overwhelming in the list of social media, and I thought Twitter would be the easiest to cut, and it has been. I really haven't missed it. But I've newly been on Threads, so that's kind of taking the place, but also my body isn't as trained. It's weird talking about social media and being like a content creator, but also like needing breaks from it. We all need breaks. It's like wanting a vacation from your job, right? Although Twitter, I wouldn't say is my job. I don't like make money off of it. I don't like prioritize it. It's kind of just my like bullshit. Like social media, I just do whatever I want. But it was getting a little bit much for me for a second. So I took a step back. But it's almost interesting taking a step back from it, how much I realized it was like opening Twitter was like a muscle and like something that I did just when I was bored. Like, because not having the Twitter app on my phone now, but having Threads, which I have more followers on and is pretty much the same thing but better, to be honest, I'm like not opening Threads as much. Like I probably open Threads at most 3 times a day, but mostly probably like 1 or 2 times a day. I like don't really go on it, but it's the same thing as Twitter. So you would think, I don't know, it just is this making sense? Like it was almost like a reflex for me to just, I did it all the time where I would be on Twitter and I would close Twitter to reopen Twitter. Like it was just a reflex for me. So I'm happy being off of Twitter. I don't know how long I'm going to be off of Twitter, but I don't really know that I have any real plans to come back. I'm pretty good at keeping promises to myself. I'm pretty good at like quitting things cold turkey. I don't know if you guys know, I don't drink. I haven't drank in like, I think 3 years. And it literally started with me being like, I'm going to take like a couple, which I never drank much. So when I'm saying I drank like on the weekends. If I went out with my friends, which normally I did. But I was like, yeah, I'm going to take like this weekend off. I'm not going to drink. And then it turned into like, I'm going to take the next weekend off. Like I felt good. And then it was like, I'm going to take a month off. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to see if I can do like 2 months. And now it's been 3 years. So I don't know if I'll be back on Twitter. Why was I talking about that? Oh, normally when I post and I ask for responses, I get them from like multiple different places and then I put them together and I do whatever with it. This was just one Instagram story post and you guys went off. So thank you so much for like being engaged and interacting with my content, but also thank you so much for like sharing. This is not like a niche thing, but it's just something that I feel like I haven't really posted about enjoying, and also yeah, just like something that I never like really made content surrounding. And I don't feel like I even ever like mentioned like I don't think I've talked about ghosts and like interviews or anything like that. Like it's never come up. I could be misremembering, but I don't believe it's ever come up. But I posted one thing and y'all were on it. So thank you for that. Stay with me with this. Because if it's not really your thing, that's okay. But I think sometimes if it's not your thing, just think of the stories as like stories, okay? And if it is your thing, these are all what I believe to be true accounts. I've not read them. Some of them are voice messages, which I'm really excited to like play and actually live react to. But I've not read any of these. I've seen little bits of them like as they come in. But if you're somebody who maybe I don't follow back or something like that, and your message went to like a message request, I didn't open it at all. And I didn't open anybody's really, but like if you're my friend and you sent me one and we've talked before, it's gonna like, I'm gonna have like a preview of it. Some of these I literally don't know what they are. So I'm gonna open them up, I'm gonna read them, or I'm gonna play the voice message and we're just gonna talk about them and react. I don't know how long the discussions are gonna be for each of them, but I'm just gonna say right now, I don't believe that I'm gonna get all of these into one segment. So if you guys really like this video, I can save the ones that I don't use for another week. If you really, really like this video or this podcast, I think I'm gonna keep saying video because I'm on camera, but if you're listening, this segment, maybe I can just do another one for next week, and next week can kind of be like a part 2. I don't know. You guys tell me. I'm making the content, but you're the audience, and there's a relationship there. So if you really, really, really want me to get all of these done and over with, I can keep making parts to this consecutively, or I can space them out. I think maybe like once a month, or just kind of when I'm feeling it, we can talk about this. Anyway, intro's over. Let's talk about me. So I have loved the spooky paranormal since I was a kid. My family is like a good old Appalachian family. We are from Northeast Ohio, which is technically like right on the outskirts of Appalachia, but both sides of my family going back are from West Virginia. So real community vibes. I'm very close with my family. I visit them a lot. I'm like an hour and a half away from them now in Pittsburgh, but I visit them very frequently. They're really big on birthday dinners. They're really big on whatever. They're big on holidays, and they're big on pretty much all holidays. Like growing up with birthdays and holidays, we would have like a group family dinner, honestly, probably like every like 2 to 3 weeks, if not at least once a month. So they're really big on that, but they love holidays. We love Halloween. We love Halloween. My mom has skeletons up year round. My mom is a true crime junkie. My mom is like skeletons, brooms. Like my favorite scents to this day are like cinnamon and stuff, because it was like always like fall in our house, if this makes sense. My mom, like her living room is painted like a deep like forest green. Like when the lights are off, it's like dark in there. So yeah, we've always loved that. We've always been a little spooky. My my family, I think my mama and papa were religious, but they kind of stopped going to church before I grew up. So there was like religion was there, or before I grew up, before I was born. So like religion was there. I wasn't a really like in a religious family. There was always like a belief of like God specifically, but I think I've been to church under 10 times in my life, and that's no, maybe like 15 times. But that's including like we would go every year for Easter and Christmas Eve. And then every so often we would like go like 2 weekends in a row, and then we would stop going. So it was like in and out. I never was like really preached to. I never was really like, you know, anything like that. We didn't really talk about ghosts growing up. I don't know if my family believes in ghosts. I've never asked. I've never really cared to ask. The paranormal is a big like interest of mine, but I wouldn't say it was one of my main interests. I would say that like I definitely go through phases, and I'm definitely in a phase right now, which is why I wanted to make this video. But yeah, it just never came up. Like, I don't know if they believe in ghosts. Like, I guess the closest we ever were talking about ghosts was my great grandpa, who has since passed away. We were convinced, and he was also convinced that his house was haunted. He said he talked to the ghosts. He said whatever. So like he believed in them. I believed in it. I think my brother believed in it. I don't know where the rest of my family falls in that. But yeah, the paranormal specifically has never been a big thing. Even my mom, I don't know her to be like a ghost story person or even like a horror person. I know she likes true crime, but growing up, my mom was always playing like puzzle games, and I think she more just likes the mystery of it. She's not like in it for like the spooky part of it. I think she just is like in it for the mystery of the story. But I've always loved the paranormal. I had friends growing up who loved the paranormal. We would do all the things you're not supposed to do. We would do the Ouija board, we would do the tarot cards, we would do the pendulums, we would go to the graveyards and hang out. And we weren't even like scene kids or anything like that. I think I was the most scene, quote unquote. No, maybe my other best friend too, my best friend Sierra. We were like the scene kids, but we weren't like, I don't know, we weren't like the goths hanging out the graveyards either. We were just like kids who liked the macabre. Even though if you're a goth hanging out at the graveyard, I mean, I probably would love to have been there with you. But I'm just saying, like, it never was like our whole thing. But we would just be like, oh yeah, we're gonna go to the graveyard and like walk around for like an hour. And we didn't do anything crazy. And then like we would go back and we would watch like Dance Moms or something. But I've always had that kind of thing. I know my dad's mom, my grandma on my dad's side, is a little bit more spiritual than I think anybody else in the family is. I don't know exactly what her beliefs are, but she was talking to me when I was a kid about like spirits and meditating, and nothing that like was super like stuck out to me. But I just, if any spiritual or spirituality is in me, it's probably because of her. Now I myself have had run-ins with what I believe to be our spirits, not frequently. I always make the joke that like ghosts don't like me, or maybe they like me so much that they don't kind of mess with me. So I've believed to contact spirits with like Ouija boards and like just like feelings and stuff like that. And I don't know if I've seen them or not. I don't know if you guys know this about me. My eyes aren't very good. It's not that I can't see, but my eyes they both have really weak muscles, which means that a lot of the times I see double, or my eyes are unfocused, or like as my eyes are trying to focus, things will literally like move. Like I'll see like two cats, but it's the same cat, and then it'll like circle each other and then move into one. So like, I don't know if maybe I've seen things out of the corner of my eyes, things out of the corner of my eyes. I feel like I might have, but then again, it's like also like, I just, my eyes aren't the best. Like seeing is believing, unless you have prescription glasses as thick as mine, then like maybe we'll try something else, you know? But I have had more like intuitive sensations. I think claircognizance is what it's called. I don't know why I think that is what it's called, but it's like I just have the like I have these like downloads of information, or I have these like thoughts sometimes, and then they'll like immediately come true. And I've had dreams before where they've not been like, I don't see things exactly clearly, but the main message of the dream, I'll wake up and like that day something similar to that to happen. And I've predicted things like I've predicted family deaths before via my dreams. I have predicted just like the pets that my like family would end up having via my dream. I remember one time, so before I moved to Cleveland, I was living with a couple, and this was like the first year I moved to Cleveland, which is I was living by myself. And the couple that I stayed with contacted me one day in the morning, were like, hey, we just want you to know that like, trigger warning for animal stuff. Their dog had passed away. The dog that I was like living there with them literally months previous had passed away like that morning or that night or something like that. And they were just letting me know because I, you know, had been around the dog. I lived with them for a couple months. I had been around the dog. I loved the dog. And while I was living there and while I was living alone, I had a rabbit named Zeus who is tattooed on my finger. If you're watching the video, you can see my tattoos. They're for Zeus. And I just had this thought because they had gotten along, my rabbit and the dog. I just had this thought after I texted her and was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like that. I'm so like, let me know if you need anything, like blah, blah, blah. Like I'll be back soon. We can hang out, whatever. I can like try to make you feel better. I had this just pop in my head thought of like, okay, if you've had a rabbit or you've had like a guinea pig or something, you can put like a blanket or like a bird or something. You put like a blanket over their cage at night and then they'll go to sleep. And before you ask, I did not suffocate this rabbit. I never put the blanket all the way on, but just enough that it like was a little dark, and then the other side was the wall, but there's holes in the cage so the rabbit can breathe. So I like was like, wouldn't that be crazy if Zeus died as well? And I don't know why that would even come into my head. Like that's not something I ever thought. Like I don't have pets to think that they're gonna die. I don't know if you can see, I think my cat Sabella is in the background right now. And I like, why would I think about her dying? So I have that idea. I'm texting my friend. I flip on the light. I take the blanket off. Zeus is dead in the cage. Like they literally died like hours apart from each other. I can't remember because I saw the text when I woke up in the morning, but I don't remember if she texted me in the morning or she texted me at night. I believe she texted me at night because I used to wake up really early for the job that I had. But when I opened up the cage, Zeus was dead. And it was just a thought that I had. It was just a random thought. So I've throughout the years, it's not something that I've tried to like really channel, but recently I've been having more like intuitive thoughts about things that just kind of like download in my brain. And I'm trying to like think and like really differentiate between like a standard thought and like one of these downloads and like run with it. You know what I mean? And try to like harness it that way. So maybe I'll keep y'all updated. If anybody has any tips or anything like that for doing that, let me know. If you think I'm crazy, that's okay. I've been called worse. But yeah, I've had those experiences. So ghosts, no. I mean, like, I feel like I remember seeing ghosts in my great-grandpa's house. I don't know if I remember seeing them before I was told they were there. You know what I mean? But that was definitely probably like one of the most haunted places. I mean, I went to a literal haunted place in Cleveland and like it felt creepy, but also like I knew it was haunted before. I've seen like a mist. That one time me and my other best friend Erica, who was also like part of the trio that would go to graveyards, she was driving me in like high school or like right after high school. There was like a mist floating, and then like when we drove past it, it like jumped at our car and it scared us for a second. But I remember both of us being like, we weren't like scared or anything. We were just like, ugh, the ghosts are trying to like play tricks, like they're playing like chicken with us. We're very casual about it. So I don't know, but seeing is believing. Can't trust my eyes. I don't care if it's not happened to me. I've seen stuff. I believe that there are spirits and there are ghosts and things like that. And I'm excited to talk about it today because I really don't have any stories, like any concrete stories or any like drawn out stories. So whenever other people have stories, I'm so excited. And I love asking you guys these questions because I love getting you guys involved in the videos. It makes it feel, for me, less like I'm sitting down and I'm making a video and I'm just like throwing it out and then I don't hear anything about it. Like the fact that I'm like actually going to have people that followed me submit these stories, I'm very excited. So I feel like we'll just jump in. With that being said though, I'm not a ghost hunter. I would love to ghost hunt. If anybody would like to ghost hunt with me, let me know. I'm not a ghost hunter. I've not been in crazy touch with the paranormal, anything like that. So don't take the things that I'm saying. Just thought there was a shadow crawling next to me and it was my roommate's cat scribble. So that was fierce for me. Don't take anything that I'm saying to be truth or fact. Take it all with a grain of salt. I know what I'm talking about, kind of, but like I don't know what I'm talking about more than like somebody who's more experienced and does this professionally and all that kind of stuff. So don't, if you came here wanting me to be like a professional, supernatural, paranormal investigator, that's not what we're gonna get. We're gonna get some spooky stories and spooky tales. So I asked you guys on my Instagram story for like paranormal, supernatural, ghost, witchcraft, psychic, medium, alien, cryptid, like anything like that, anything that's like spooky, paranormal, supernatural, to send it in. And we've got some. So I think I'm just gonna scroll and we're just gonna see in my message request like who sticks out. Okay, so this is from somebody named Ari Moore. I also will put everybody's like Instagram handles and stuff like that in the description of the video or of the episode. So this is from somebody named Ari Moore, and they say, okay, so I'm like semi-psychic at times, me also as well, but I remember in high school, I woke up in the middle of the night, grabbed my phone, and I typed in 134, so like 1:34, like the time 1:34. Woke up the next morning and found out my grandmother had died sometime between 12:30 and 2 a.m. the previous night. I have a shit ton of stories like this where I just know things like this. Okay, Ari, we're gonna have to talk because I feel like it's literally what I just said. Like sometimes I just know things. Like sometimes I just get like, and I can't help it. I can't channel it. I can't like touch an object and be like, you know what I mean? But I'll just be like randomly going to leave my house and I'll get like a, what about this? And then most of the times it happens. So love this, Ari. And then also I got another message from Ari that said, I also once cast a love spell on this boy who I had a crush on, which that's dangerous, Ari. I'm sure you know that. On the 7th day of the spell, the one I did take 7 days to activate, he asked me out and asked if we could start dating, and we've been dating ever since. Okay, I guess never mind. Do love spells. I will say with this one, so if you're gonna attempt a love spell, Ari, I'm very happy that this worked out for you. It seems like it worked out. The safer route, from my knowledge, and again, I don't practice witchcraft all the time. I'm not, whatever. I'm not the person that you should be looking for guidance on this, but I've always learned that if you want a love spell or something like along those lines, it's better and it's safer to do it on yourself and not mess with the free will of somebody else. Ari, I'm very happy this has worked out for you. Like I said, you got your man, so disregard what I'm saying. But anybody else trying this is a little bit safer to be like, I'm making myself attractive and like come what may, than like I want this person specifically, because then that messes with like fate and destiny and free will and all that kind of stuff. But Ari, that's crazy. Well, not crazy, because I've done the same thing. So I'm very excited to know that, you know, people follow me that have had like similar things to me. I did one time, so I had a dream, and I can't remember who this was about. It was like a family friend or something like that. But I had never met, God, I wish I could remember who it was. But I had never met their grandmother, okay? So I didn't know what their grandmother looked like. And I had a dream once where my family and this person, whoever it was, or I don't know, my friends and this person, I can't remember who it was. We all had been invited to a party that this person's grandmother was throwing. And when we got there, I don't know what she looks like, so I just dreamt of a random lady, but like I knew. Do you ever have those dreams where like you see someone, they don't look like anybody that you know, but you just know that they are this person even though they don't look like that person, but like in your dream that person is the other person? Or like I will be like, oh, I'm going to the mall that I always go to, but then I'll go there and it'll look completely different, but I'm like, yeah, this is the mall, like that kind of stuff. So I saw this woman and I was like, oh, that's this person's grandmother. I've since, I believe, seen this person's grandmother in like photos or something, and they didn't look alike. It was just, I just randomly, you know, thought of somebody and was like, that's this person's grandmother. And we're there, and then it was an outside, like outdoor party, and all of these people just started jumping over the fence and like, what do the TikTok people say? Unalive. Just start unaliving everybody. And very morbid. I don't often have nightmares or anything like that. But that happened at the party, and they just started like attacking everybody. And then I woke up and I was like, what the hell? And then that morning, found out the grandmother died. So I don't know if I've ever told that story, and I must not have, because I don't even remember who the fuck it was about, but I remember the circumstance very clearly. So, I feel like people are more intuitive than we give ourselves credit for, but I feel like you talk yourself out of being intuitive, you know what I mean? But thank you, Ari, thank you for submitting that. Okay. This one is from somebody named Bronwyn Dow. And Bronwyn says, when I was about 2 or 3, I would talk about a mean lady, quote unquote, randomly, and my parents just thought I was just talking to talk. If I'm stuttering a little bit, I don't have my glasses on because I'm sitting in front of a window and you guys will get glare, so I'm really trying to focus on these words. But one day my mom was going through a photo album and I pointed at and identified the mean lady. Turns out it was my mom's great aunt that was a total bitch, and even she has childhood trauma from her. My mom then proceeded to sage the house, the end. A little boring, but like, it's okay to put your colonizer ancestors in their place. And I agree. It is, I would say, more than okay to put your colonizer ancestors in their place. That's crazy. I feel like, okay, also children, you said 2 or 3. Children and animals I've known. There's Isabella in the back. If you're watching the video, my cat's in the background. She just got up. Children and animals, the veil between worlds, so to speak, whatever you believe it to be, is like thinner, and they can, I don't know if they all can see ghosts, but they're all more intuitive. So they're all more like, they have better perception, I should say. So like they sense things, they see things, they hear things. A lot of times, not to scare anybody, but a lot of times the imaginary friends, like in this case, turn out to not be imaginary friends. That kind of thing. So that's crazy. I've heard stories about this too, where like people will talk to one specific person and then like years later will like be going through like family photos and be like, that's the person who I was talking to. Or like or even as still as a child, they'll be like, oh yeah, that's the lady. And it's like your like great grandmother or great grandfather or something like that. That is crazy. And this whole familial thing is reminding me that I do have probably my like biggest ghost story that I guess I just like blocked out and didn't say in the intro. So I'm so sorry for that. I don't know if you guys know, I don't know if I've talked about it online, but it's pretty common knowledge. My dad passed away when I was younger. Here come the comments of people being like, we can tell you don't have a dad. But he passed away when I was very young, and I remember one time we were maybe like celebrating his birthday for some reason. It's not really something we did, but maybe that year we were, or like we were celebrating my birthday or something like that. And we had like a balloon, and it must have been like a couple weeks later, we still had this balloon, and it was helium, so it floated, but it was a little bit like deflated. So it was floating more at like the level of what a person would walk. You know what I mean? Like and the string touched the ground, so it was like the height of a person, right? And one night randomly it started, so my house growing up was like in a square, like the hallway was in a square, and it started floating around the house in that square. And it was like floating, I don't know if it was like, we were like, it's caught in a draft or something like that, but it's floating around, and I flipped out because like my bedroom door's open and it was dark in my bedroom. I was going to sleep. It's floating around and I'm freaking out, and my mom's laughing, you know, she's like thinking it's funny, she's like whatever, and I'm like convinced that it was like my dad. And I think I either thought that or I said that out loud. My mom was like, don't be crazy, whatever. And I'm not joking, it floated around, I'm like trying to remember it. It floated around the square right after either I said it or I thought that like this is my dad. The next time it got to my room, it stopped in front of my room door. It had not stopped the whole time, and it started to float into my room door, like into my room. And this is like, my brother and I are going to sleep, but we're young, so we're going to sleep kind of early. So like the lights are on the house, my whole family's awake. Like it's not like middle of the night I'm being like tapped or anything like that. Like this is like had like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Like when the fuck do kids go to bed? I don't know. But some, you know, something around those times, like my mom and everybody are still awake, and I flipped out. I made my mom come in and get it. I made her like pop it and like hide it away. I was just like, I can't deal with that. And that was it. So I don't know. I don't know. And I've been told by psychics that like he looks over me and like follows me around. But definitely I didn't see anything as crazy as this. I like, not that I want to say that I wish that I remember seeing ghosts or that I have like distinct evidence that I saw ghosts. And I don't want to see ghosts now. I think I would like to communicate, but I think I'm good on the seeing. But yeah, I've heard stories of this often where people like have like an imaginary friend or someone they talk to, and then it turns out to be like an ancestor. It's kind of creepy, but good for you, Bronwyn. Also love the name Bronwyn. Good for you for putting your colonizer ancestor in place. Okay, shout out to this person. This person's name is Sunny. All they said was, wait, I didn't know you were a paranormal lover too. But they didn't give me a story. So maybe we'll talk to them. Maybe we'll get a story for the next time. Okay, this is from someone named, I believe her out of drag name is pronounced Maeve. I don't actually know. But this is Primadonna, who I will link her account. She's a drag performer here in Pennsylvania, and she's so fierce. She's my niece. Love you, Prima. She says, though, one time I had a realistic dream. My sister-in-law was pregnant. Okay. And I started asking everyone if she was pregnant in the morning. There was something that I read, but I don't know if I should read it out loud. It's like a detail to the story. Let me restart. One time I had a realistic dream. My sister-in-law was pregnant. I started asking everyone if she was pregnant the morning after, only to find out that day she was pregnant. And I was like, OMG, she's going to think I'm a witch now. I have heard of that too. I had a manager when I worked at H&M way back in the day, literally my first job, that like, she didn't get them all correct, but she got a lot of things correct where like, she specifically pregnancy, she would like have a dream about it and she would know that you were pregnant or that you were like, or like sometimes she knew that people were pregnant before they knew they were pregnant. Or I remember one time, I'm pretty sure she had a dream or like a feeling that one of my coworkers was pregnant and my coworker denied it and then confessed to me like later on that she was pregnant and she knew she was pregnant at the time, but she just was like, people like hide their pregnancy for a little while. Sometimes they like do it because like sometimes you lose the baby or sometimes like, things happen, things change. Or they just want to make like an announcement about it. So she was just like waiting to like make this announcement, but my manager had a dream and had known she was pregnant. And I'm pretty sure there were two people from the time that I worked there. There were two different women who were pregnant or had become pregnant in the time and like had a baby in the time that I worked there. And this manager predicted both of them and they both denied it and then they both were like, yeah, I am actually pregnant. But that's crazy. Prima, I love you. Thank you for sending in the story. Y'all go follow Primadonna. She is so fierce. Okay. Ooh, okay. I just clicked on one that is paragraphs long. So we're going to do this. So this is from someone named Harley Jane. Thank you, Harley, for submitting. It says, okay, so the first message says, actually, I have so many and I don't talk about it a lot because people look at me sideways, but here we go. This is a safe space. We're not looking at you sideways. So it says, my brother and I talk about our childhood a lot, particularly our dad's old house. While our mom still lived there, nothing happened. Insert a nasty divorce and dad keeping the house. We didn't know if perhaps his rotten, bitter energy conjured something or what, but it slowly started getting worse and worse at that house. We would go down for weekends, and when my mom would come pick us up, she always said that there was this heavy energy about us. There was a day I was home alone that I could hear a woman's high heels pacing in the kitchen while it sounded like a man was upstairs stomping around and tearing it up. Like I literally heard my dad's gun cabinet get pushed over. I know you're from Appalachia too. And I'm just on the living room couch, frozen in fear, am I actually home alone? And as I could hear the stomps start down the stairs, my dad and brother came back. Tell them about it. Everything upstairs was untouched, and I was told, it's an old house. You heard the bricks settling. Which is true. I mean, old houses do settle, but like, there's a distinct like house settling noise that if you've been in a house, like Pittsburgh houses that I'm in right now are most of the times very old. So this house does settle often. There's a difference between house settling and like something falling over. Those are different stories for sure. And then there's more. So then the next one says, both my brother and I used to get hollered at multiple times a day. Hollered. Okay. I gotta stop this and see where you're from. Okay, there's nothing to tell me where you're from. But hollered, you're from Appalachia too, or the South. But I'm feeling Appalachia. Because we would sprint down the stairs, because if you paused at the top, you would get this overwhelming sensation that someone was about to push you. He could hear someone pacing in the attic above his head. He had a corner room. A squirrel barely would have been able to pace above him. Just felt like there were eyes all over the house, and it felt soul draining to be there. Then my paternal grandparents die, and Dad decides he's going to sell this house and move into his childhood home. My brother and I are thinking, great, fantastic, we'll get to escape this. There's only one ghost at Grandma and Grandpa's, and that's the man that sits in the corner and smokes his tobacco pipe. Except, joke's on us, because it's attached to our dad. So it follows our dad. I remember going to grab some bags from the old spare room to unpack, and can hear my grandmother's voice plain as day tell me, don't go in there. Literally haven't been in the spare room since then, and that's on top of the fact that when we were packing stuff at the old house, whatever was there was pissed to have to move and started clawing my brother and I, threw things around in our room at night, and even once grabbed me by my ponytail and yanked me to the ground. But yeah, that's just tidbits. My brother and I have always had some sort of weird sense for things, and it's generally unsettling to everyone around us, but we just roll with it. Harley, that was the mother load. That was crazy. I will say I've never had anything like touch me that I know. I've never had like the pulling of the hair or anything, but that is so crazy. Also, attachments. Attachments are like something that like I feel like I've always known about, but just recently have started to like see more things about. And I feel like, you can correct me if I'm wrong, you definitely can correct me. I feel like attachments can be good or bad. Like just because they're attached doesn't mean it's negative, but most of the time it is like a negative presence that attaches to you. Like I feel like you know if you have an attachment, if you just have like really bad luck, or like your appliances are always dead, or electronics and stuff like that. I am one person who I will say my electronics, the battery is always dead on them, but I also use them very frequently. But I've had multiple times where I'm like, I thought I just charged this and it's like close to dying. Not so much anymore actually. So maybe I had an attachment and it left. I didn't do anything for it to leave, but maybe it left. But attachments are scary, and I have seen also recently that a lot of people say that like objects are not haunted and places are not haunted, but people are haunted. I don't know if I believe that necessarily, because I do believe that sometimes ghosts are just like trapped in a time loop. Like there are ghosts that like are in like old hotels that like you see constantly in the same place doing the same thing. Like if you go this time of day or whatever, these situations, you'll see her like walk to the top of the stairs or something like that. So I'm like, well, that I don't think would be attached to a person. I think that's attached to the place. But people definitely can be haunted. People definitely can be haunted. And attachments are scary. They're what they are. This one seems like it's scary. Okay, y'all. I'm like shaking a little bit. I was continuously saying SCARY, and my iPad is over there, and I'm pretty sure SIRI heard me say that and thought I was talking and made like a noise, but it was like clear as day, and it scared the shit out of me. So if you see that, if you're watching the video, that was genuine fear. I'm like so scared right now. Not really. I just was scared, and now I'm like coming down from it. Oh, that was scary. Oh, that was scary. But we're gonna keep moving. We're gonna do maybe like one more. Oh no, we're gonna do two more. This one's very long, and then I have a voice message from somebody that I would like to read. So this person, Izzy, IZ, I don't really know, but IZ on Instagram we'll say is. Okay, so they say, OMG, I have one. I grew up in my mom's childhood home. The house was across the street from a 200-year-old cemetery. A lot of people who worked on the railroad were buried there. One night, I was like 2 years old, according to my mom. I was fast asleep in my room. She was on the couch taking care of my baby sister. Nobody else was home. Out of nowhere, she heard a melody playing on a recorder, as in the woodwind instrument. It was coming from upstairs, and she understandably freaked out. She set my sister down on the couch, went upstairs to try to figure out where it was coming from, and the music stopped. She opened the door and saw her old recorder from grade school laying on the floor in my room. She felt like she must have been so sleep deprived she was hearing it in her head, so she went back downstairs to my sister. Soon after the music started again. She called my dad and he came home. She was like, "Do you hear that?" And he did. But again, when they went up to my room, the music stopped. I was still fast asleep. My parents turned on every light in the house, and my dad ran around frantically yelling, "Hello, hello." The only entrance to my room was the one door, but it wasn't huge. There were 2 windows, but they both opened to like a 20-foot drop. Both of them were confused with the screens still on them. Oh, both of them were closed with the screens still on them when my parents checked. So the windows were still closed. Obviously, there is an explanation that I could have been a little shit and playing the recorder when I was supposed to sleep. And I just like threw it when I heard my parents check on me, but I was 2. My mom says I was always way too little to even play it with my tiny toddler hands. I play instruments, and I played a lot in high school, and I feel like I've messed around with the recorder, and it would be tough. It would be tough to do, let alone know how to use it. My mom always thought the house was haunted. Also, one time when I was about the same age, my mom was taking me on a walk. I was in a stroller as we were walking past the cemetery about to get home. I stood up in my stroller, pointed to the cemetery, and shouted no, and the following convo ensued. This is the convo. Mom says, "What?" Izzy says, "No." Mom says, "What?" Izzy says, "That man." Mom says, "What man?" Izzy says, "He has hair and he's looking through and I don't like him." I think when I said looking through, I probably meant see-through, like transparent. I had a very active imagination of the kid, but I had no concept of ghosts or death or anything. I scared my poor mother shitless. I still feel kind of bad for brutally insulting whoever that was. LMAO, ghost or figment of my imagination or otherwise. Bro was just minding his business. Okay, Izzy, that was very funny. That is crazy. Also, with the recorder thing, I'm also remembering I never had to play the recorder because I played instruments, but my little brother didn't play instruments and he had to play the recorder. So me and my mom fucked around on it because we both had played the clarinet before. And it's a little bit difficult to play, if I'm remembering correctly, to make a noise and stuff like that. Not once you can play it, but it's a little bit I don't know, it's just weird. And to have it be a melody, it's a little weird. Also, I feel to get up and grab it again and play it again for an extended period of time. If your mom saw it and then was still, or your mom heard it and then was still continuously hearing it once your dad got home, that's a little creepy. And yeah, I mean, you roasted that man. Whoever that man was, he was I'm not haunting this family. I'm not doing that. But I feel that's a good way of getting rid of them. Okay. We have, okay. I said I was going to do one more. We are going to do 2 more because this comes from somebody that I know and love. So this is from Shay Hickson. Hi, Shay. Wait, do I not follow you back? I feel I follow you on my personal account. How the hell did I not follow you? Okay, well, I just followed you. So sorry about that, Shay. I'm really bad sometimes at following people, I will say. Okay, so Shay says, okay, so years ago, I was at my childhood home washing my hands in the bathroom. There was a window that looked out to the back door and the backyard. The window was cracked open, and I heard a woman's voice, clear as day, say, "Hello, is anyone there?" I opened the window fully to see who it was, and nobody was outside, not even in the backyard or in the driveway. Ooh. And then technically, so there's another one. Technically, this is something my mom experienced. Hello, Mom. Love you too. Love you, Mom. Actually, just went to lunch with Shay's mom literally yesterday. So not one-on-one in a group, but hi. Technically, this story isn't... What? Technically, this story is something... Sorry, the glasses, y'all. Technically, this story is something my mom experienced, but I was a part of it. I was very little and my mom came into my bedroom one night to say goodnight. Apparently, she noticed that it was unusually cold in my room when she walked in. She went to sit on the bed and I told her that she was being very rude. She asked why and I said she sat on Uncle Joe. For context, that was my mom's uncle that basically raised her growing up. He died in a car accident when she was a teenager, and I never knew about him until I was much older because it's something she doesn't like talking about. So I'd have no clue who he was when I was that young. Ooh. I feel like that's pretty frequently like discussed, like if there's a family member kind of like up the family tree who was like nurturing and very kind and very sweet. I mean, in the other one, it was somebody who was mean, so I don't know what I'm saying. But I feel like often it's like if this Uncle Joe figure was very nice to your mom and like very nurturing and like he like basically raised her like kind of wanting to connect with her offspring and like introduce himself and like see and like kind of like take care, like it's that same in death as in life, like it's kind of that same like your personality is your personality, babe. Like if you're nurturing, you're gonna be nurturing. So very, very cool. Thank you, Shay. Thank you for submitting that. Okay, I have one that is a voice message. So we're gonna listen to this and we are going to react to it. This is our closer. This is from Sally Forth. This is from Sally Forth, who is a drag performer here in Pittsburgh. And I was sent, oh my God, sorry. Something in my throat. I was sent a voice message that is almost 2 minutes long, and I'm very excited to listen. I haven't even clicked it yet, so we're gonna see what Sally has to say.
I'm finally getting back to this because I had to just run around for a second, but so sorry about that. Like, I totally see how that was construed in that way because I totally, like, was not thinking when I messaged that. I had to run. Like, I'm so sorry.
Okay, so context for Sally. So Sally messaged me and said that they had a story, and I was like, oh my God, tell me. And then Sally said that they got interrupted when they were in the middle of recording, and I thought it was me because I've been in the middle of recording voice messages too, and like somebody texts me and then it's like it stops the recording. So I said my bad, but it wasn't me. So then they apologized. So that's the backstory
to the story. Before I get redder in the face, when I was in college, I had a radio show at my college radio station, and every October I would do like, you know, murder mysteries or just like famous murder cases or whatever, you know, for fun. And one time I was doing Lizzie Borden, and I was like in the middle of retelling the tale, and I looked over, and I swear I could draw this woman. I saw a woman with like brown shoulder-length hair and a blue dress reach across the table at me, and then like vanish. And I can probably find the audio clip somewhere, but my boss just happened to be recording that episode and like messaged me afterwards and was like, hey, I have your recording if you want to listen to it. And I was like, did you listen to it? And he goes, oh no, like, what's up? And I said, I cut it about half an hour short because like, this is gonna sound crazy, I saw a ghost. And he goes, oh, it's kind of funny that you bring that up. I thought I've been seeing things down there, but I thought it was just like, you know, me being too used to being down there all the time by myself. So we actually got the building exorcised, and then he never saw anything after that again. But if I can find the audio clip of me being like in the middle of telling the story and then just cutting and being like, all right guys, I'm gonna cut for the night, have a good one, and then like running out of there, I will send it to you because it's probably hysterical now, but at the time it was like so scary because it was like old as fuck collegiate building, 10 o'clock at night, all by myself. Probably shouldn't have done it to myself, but you know, she made an appearance, so guest on the pod, I guess.
Guest on the pod. That is so funny. This week we're featuring Lizzie Borden. Lizzie, thank you for being here. That is so scary. Also, the exorcism is so scary. Like, I don't know why, but I had this thought like a couple years ago of like wanting to be an exorcist. It was like a long time ago. It couldn't have been a couple years ago. It had been a long time ago. I was like, I want to be an exorcist. And then I realized that it's like a religious thing. And I was like, oh, I don't think they'll take me. Sally, that is scary. That is so scary. I would be very interested in you sending me the clip. Maybe in the next one. The next time we do this, we'll react to it. But Sally, that is scary, scary, scary. I feel like we need to like look at what she looked like. She was a real person. Yeah, she was a real person because like her house is there. But then they made her into like the nursery rhyme kind of like fairy tale type thing. That's scary. To like have something reaching at you also is just like a level of like it's like when when you were a kid, this might not happen to everybody, but like if you're my age, this probably happened to you. When you were a kid and they played those YouTube videos that like had the jump scare. I could have also just said everybody's done a jump scare, but that would also have me like, all right, we gotta cut the episode, we're done, we're over it, we gotta go. That is spooky scary. Thank you, Sally, for submitting that. I hope I get to see you soon here in the PGH. Whew, well, those were some stories, y'all. Thank you so much for submitting. I'm pretty sure this episode is already like an hour long, so if I did any more, it would be so long. But thank you so much for submitting the stories if you did. If you want me to keep doing this, let me know. I would love to, I don't know, talk about this here and there a little bit more frequently. And let me know, would you rather me do some more stories next week? Or would you rather me do more stories like next month? I think it might be better to do it next month to like give some gaps. But like I said, I'm listening to you guys. If you're watching and you're listening, I'll do whatever you guys want. So, well, not whatever, but you know what I mean? Yeah, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for indulging me in my scary, spooky era. And I am going to go party with Siri and Lizzie Borden. I love you guys. I'll see you next week. Mwah! Goodbye.